Well, as you know, I ceased to be Prime Minister of Israel in 2009. And at that time, the military capability of Hamas was entirely different. They were not capable of doing what they have perpetrated in the last few days. So I'm afraid that the right target for this question should be Prime Minister Netanyahu, who was the Prime Minister in most of the period since 2009. It's obviously that Hamas has prospered. I think that the truth is that for a long period of time, perhaps most of the period of time, the priority of the Israeli government was to reduce the status and the influence of the Palestinian Authority under the leadership of Mahmoud Abbas, and to try and build up rapport in cooperation with Hamas. So in a certain way, maybe the increased strength of the military strength of Hamas is largely a result of the fact that in most of the period of these years, the Israeli army and military didn't fight against Hamas. They were fighting to, as I said, to reduce the status and the influence of the Palestinian Authority, which I think was a terrible mistake. No, I think it will be a mistake, which I don't mind if they will make it, the Hamas and the Iranians, if the interpretation of what happened on Saturday will go down to say that the Israeli intelligence system is complacent, or the perception of this is complacent, or that it is not good enough. I think that what happened to us was a result of a certain indifference, that we knew everything, we saw everything, we hear everything in the other side. We just, not me, but those who are in charge now, the Prime Minister and the leadership, just didn't believe that Hamas is capable of doing what they were seen to be preparing. And this, a certain degree of arrogance is always a very bad prescription for a government, for every government. And I think that we have sinned in being arrogant. And I think that this has brought about the success of the Hamas. Hamas will pay for it, don't get me wrong. I'm not in the government, I can't speak for the Israeli government, I don't want to speak for this government, but I trust the ability of the military leadership, and Hamas will pay dearly. And it will be very bloody and aggressive and unpleasant. And I hope that non-involved people will not have to suffer from it, as so many Israelis, entirely non-military people, civilians. I hope that innocent people will not be killed. But we'll reach out for everyone that is involved with Hamas, and we will find them, we will identify them, and we'll do what is necessary to be done to get rid of them. As simple as that. But I want to say something, if I may, about the other parts or other fronts. I think that Nasrallah, has a very good memory of me, because he said that had he known 17 years ago what my reaction will be when he kidnapped 2 Israeli soldiers, he would have not started. He said if he would have known 1% of what I reacted, he wouldn't have not started. I suggest that he will think about what he said then, now. I believe that he is smart enough not to want to get involved in a military confrontation with Israel now, and I hope he will not. But there is no fear that the Hamas will interfere, that the Hezbollah will interfere. If Hezbollah will choose to interfere, then we'll have to fight in two fronts. We'll have to fight in the South Front and we'll have to fight in the North Front, and we'll deal with both. We will also pay prices. It's not simple and it's not easy, and the Hezbollah was equipped for many years and was inspired and supported and triggered to be ready to a confrontation with Israel, but they know what they may pay. So I hope they will not start. But if they choose to start, then it will be a two-front confrontation, and at the end of it, the Hezbollah will be terribly devastated, and so is Hamas. Do you seriously think that there can be a settlement with Hamas? What exactly can we settle with? We do not occupy any centimeter of land in Gaza. We pulled out. I was one of the leaders of the disengagement in the south in 2005, which brought about a total evacuation of the territories in the south. And we were criticized in Israel dearly because of this. But we did it because we don't want to occupy the Palestinian territories. I tried to pull out from all of the territories in the West Bank, as you know, and I presented a plan on this towards this direction to the president of the Palestinian Authority, Mahmoud Abbas. Unfortunately, he failed to respond to it, which was a tragic mistake, and I think he knows and understands it now that he made a terrible mistake. But in any event, what kind of settlement can we make with Hamas? Hamas don't want to make any settlement with us. Hamas is the long arm of Iran. Iran wants to change the entire region here, and they are using Hamas to carry on the fight, and they are using Hezbollah to possibly also engage militarily with the state of Israel. And in the absence of any possible political solution, if we are forced to fight, we will fight. Listen, don't drag me into domestic Israeli politics. I've been doing enough of this over the last year. But the main point is that the Hamas is not a political organization. This is a terrorist organization. Look, when we pulled out from Gaza in 2005, the next day, when we pulled out, the Hamas legions thrusted into the vacated settlements that we pulled out from and destroyed all the synagogues that were left intact by us, hoping that for a radical religious organization will be a minimum of respect for religious institutes. They destroyed everything. And since then, they were almost continuously for years shooting rockets on Israeli settlements across the border. So yes, the status quo was violated, but it was violated because of the violence and the aggression and the hatred of Hamas. And look now at the international community. Not that it consoles me in any way, but every single country in the world is now entirely on the side of Israel, saying that we have a full right to attack the Hamas and destroy the Hamas. First of all, I want to say that in 1973, the war started in a very devastating manner from our point of view. But the war ended when the Israeli army was 100 kilometers from Cairo, and the third army of the third Egyptian army was entirely encircled by Israeli soldiers. And the final outcome of final military outcome of this war was entirely different from what it appeared to have been at the beginning. So this is one thing which needs to be remembered. Another thing that I have to say, the leader of Egypt at that time was an extraordinary human being, Anwar Sadat. I had the distinct honor of shaking his hands and meeting with him when he visited Israel in 1977. He was a great leader, and he had the courage and the understanding that peace needs to be made. And this peace is a cornerstone of stability in the Middle East since 1979, when the agreement was signed. Had Hamas originally was prepared to acquiesce with the state of Israel, to accept Israel's existence, and to refrain from any violent measures, the situation may have been different, but they chose to fight, and they will get a fight. As I said again, at this point, there is no room for any negotiations, and there will not be any negotiations with Hamas. There will be war, and a brutal war, and a very powerful war, and you will be stunned. And of course, if you would still want to interview me in a few weeks' time, you will be stunned at the terrible price that Hamas will pay for what they have done on Saturday.